Well, welcome to State of Mind Talks, the new podcast series from State of Mind Sport. This is a series exploring transition and the complex emotional and mental backdrop to confronting and going through major change. I'm George Riley, and each episode I chat to a familiar name from the world of sport. This week's guest is a British rugby league great, one of the finest players of his generation, who won every domestic club honour going, one of the sport's most recognisable faces and voices, Leon Pryce. Great to see you, Leon. Thanks for coming on.
You too, John. Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, good to be here.
How are you, first of all?
Yeah, we're really good at the moment. Life's a bit hectic, but yeah, it's definitely fun at the moment. Lots going on. Just moved house, just changed job. Yeah, so life's good.
We're talking about changes of jobs, so maybe we'll come back to that in a bit. But I guess the timing of us having this chat about transitioning out of a career and a life is quite striking, because we're speaking at a time when your teenage son is transitioning himself into professional sport. He made his own debut, didn't he, in Super League just a week or so ago. What kind of emotions has that brought up for you right now?
It's got probably mixed emotions. Obviously, great. The overriding probably emotion would be pride. For myself and my, all our family, my wife, his brother and sister, aunties, uncles, nana, granddads, all the family are really, really proud of William, what he's done. Probably a little bit nervous because I know as well as the ups, there's definitely the downs to come. It's a bumpy ride. It's a roller coaster of emotions. It's professional sport, which obviously I've been through myself. So, you want to protect your children as much as you can, but at the same time, you've got to let them go and let them experience life themselves. And just wanting to try and give as much guidance as I can. Really, I just want to try and help him as much as I can, because I know, it's invaluable having the experience that I've got to be able to pass over to him, even if it's just little bits that help him. Then that's surely it'll be beneficial for him. So, you're just really proud, really happy, obviously nervous. I know everything that comes with a game as well, so just trying to make sure that I do everything I can to protect him as much as I can, but let him make his own way if he can.
Yeah, when I saw you before at the ground before his debut, you told me you were more nervous than you'd been probably before any of the games that you played.
Yeah, because when you're playing, you get to make the decisions, you get to make the tackles, make the errors, And then I was just thinking, when he comes on, if it's going to be a tight game, and if you make a little mistake in your debut, it can really knock your confidence. And I think when your debut in your first couple of games are some of the hardest games mentally that you can play, and physically as well, because you don't know really where you're at until you test yourself, especially against some of the best players in the competition. Going up against Sam Tompkins and players like that. It's Cassiano. He's only 18, and you think, I'm a little boy. He's tackling grown men and some of the best players that play the game. But as soon as he come on, as soon as he touched the ball, as soon as he got involved, and I could see him yapping and talking and yibbering away a little bit like I used to do, a lot like his mum. His mum yibbers away as well all the time. So as soon as I seen him yabbing and full of confidence, and he didn't look too out of place, I was like, right, yeah, fine, I'm fine now, it's okay.
And how was he afterwards, and how were you afterwards?
Yeah, everybody was just absolutely buzzing over the moon. If I'm 100% honest, it was quite a bit of relief, because we've done this for all his lives. I've played rugby since I was 7. I've played professional since I was 16. William's been coming with me to rugby training since, to the games, to the Catalan Dragons training, to all FC training. He's been coming training since he could walk, since 4 years old. Like, I'd take him to captain's run. He'd always kick the goals, he'd kick the ball, he'd play with first team, come for lunch after with the first team. So it's not something that we're not used to in our eyes. So it's like, he's not a surprise, but it's something that there's a lot of things that can happen along the way to not let you get to your final destination. There's injuries, there's luck, there's if you lose interest in the game, your coach might not like you. You might not ever get to the standard where you can play Super League. So there's everything all mixed into one. You've got to go right. You've got to be dedicated. You've got to train hard. You've got to stay away from injuries. You've got to have a coach that likes you. You've got to get to a situation where you're either playing that well, they've got to play you, or you've got that many injuries, they've got to play you. There's lots of things that have got to go your way to get to that spot where he played that game the other night. So, the stars aligned, and luckily for us, it was the night for him. And now it's just time to kick on now. So yeah, we were really happy.
And just one more on that. Do you think your own transition out of professional sport, which was a difficult one, and we're going to discuss that in a sec, do you think that has given you a perspective that is going to help your son ride the emotions and ride the pressures that he'll be feeling, I guess, right now at the start of his own journey?
I think he's seen, William's seen everything from needle to thread of what rugby can do to you mentally, physically as well, with injuries that I've had to suffer. And I think that'll only set him in good stead. He's his own person. He's his own man. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's a good kid. He's well behaved. He's got good manners. He's respectful. He respects his elders. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and he'll make his own decisions along the way. But I'll be, like you say, he's seen it firsthand. He's seen everything firsthand. He's seen the pressure that I've put myself under, and I think he's seen me struggle with having to leave the game behind a little bit and move on. So that's something that will make sure that he's an intelligent lad. He's done very well in his GCSEs. He's got an A in French. He can speak fluent French. He's intelligent. He's switched on. So what we'll do is make sure that we put together an exit strategy for him when he, hopefully, touch wood, if everything goes right, that when he does finish the game, be that in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whenever it is, he's got a plan B and a plan C, and not like me who's just had one plan.
Let's talk a bit about that. Your career, mate, was exceptional, wasn't it? It was a brilliant rugby league career. A Bradford boy becoming a hometown club legend, as you did. You won Super League titles, you won Challenge Cups, you won World Club Challenges. I mean, you won every domestic honour, and then success elsewhere with St Helens, with Hull FC, with Catalan Dragons to an extent as well in France. Did rugby league and your time in rugby league, did it give you everything that you wanted and that you thought it would do?
Yeah, and more. Yeah, I mean, if somebody said to me 25 years ago, 20 years ago, you're going to have this career that you have, and this is what's going to happen after, and you may have a couple of injuries, and this may happen, I'd have snapped anybody's hands off. All I ever wanted to do was play the game. That's all I ever wanted to do since I was probably 10, 11. That's all I've ever wanted to do is play at Wembley, playing Challenge Cup finals, playing grand finals. But there weren't grand finals when I was a kid growing up. But I wanted to emulate my heroes, Ellery Hanley, Jess Robinson, Martin Fire. Then probably as I got a bit older, when Robbie Paul was a big name at Bradford and he was coming through and getting them to Wembley, all I wanted to do was just do that. That's all I wanted to do in life. It's my biggest passion and biggest drive. So regardless of what happens after, I really, even when I've been in places where I've like been a little bit down, I've always been appreciative that I've had the chance to do what I've done. Like I always feel really lucky to live every day going to training with a bunch of lads that you like the majority of them. You all like get on, and you go rugby training and you get paid well for it, and you play in front of big crowds and you do something that you absolutely love, and you do it for 20 years. Life's been fun. I've had a good 20 years of fun, really a lot of fun.
Was that your mindset at the time when you were in it? We all kind of savour something after the event when we don't have it anymore. What was your mindset when you were playing? Was there ever a part of you when you were playing, or a moment when you sat back and thought, I'm living the dream here, be it after one of your trophy wins for Bradford, or when you're on your sun lounger in a pool in the south of France playing with Catalan, being paid great money?
I'd say probably Bradford and Saints days, we were like a machine. We were just, everything were about winning. And we were just in that grind of being part of winning mentality, winning cultures, winning teams. And then probably about my first year when I went to France, and it's the first time I moved out of Bradford, it was on sunny Bradford. Mm-hmm. And I was there with my family. We had a swimming pool in his back garden. We lived by a beach, back of a golf course in St Cyprian. And I just thought, wow, this is like, I don't ever want this to stop. I'm playing rugby. They get looked after well. Sunny, 250 days a year. I live, border of Spain. Kids are speaking French. I'm getting paid good money to do it. Like, this is the dream come true. So yeah, at that point, I probably thought this is unbelievable. But I always knew we weren't going to last forever, and I always had that in the back of my mind. So Catalan were an amazing experience, not just for the rugby, but for the learning a different culture and living in a different country. You don't realise, when you go on holiday, you don't pick up a real feel for a place. But when you live there for 3 years, you understand the culture and different people, and experience, talking different languages. It's amazing experience.
You said just then you enjoyed it and you realised how great it was, and you realised that it wasn't gonna last forever. When we talk about the end of your career, and I've heard you say when you've talked about this before, that the difficult part about a career like the one you had is purely when you finish. It's that, that's the difficult moment. Can you describe for us what happened? When the rugby stopped, when it disappeared? Just take us back there and kind of talk through what was going on.
First of all, I think in the back of my mind, I always expected to try and get in there coaching. I know that I know enough about the game. I know that I've studied the game enough to be able to help coach. And that's kind of, I think, for me, you assume that because you're a bit of a profile in the game, that you're always going to be able to pick up work around the game. I assumed it, which is my own fault. I'm nobody else to blame. And then obviously I was at Bradford. I'd gone back to Bradford. I tried my best to get going. I was probably mentally broken. My knee was on its last legs, which I didn't think it really was when I'd signed there. I thought I couldn't get one more season out of it. But at the end of it, was just too painful. I got chronic arthritis in my knee. I was having an injection before game at half time to try and get through it. That deteriorated. I went into administration straight away. I lost this full squad, so we had a bunch of kids playing in championship against big men, strong men, and it just took its toll. I had to retire halfway through the season. And I basically went from training around 30 lads every single day for 20 years to sat in my house on my own watching Jeremy Kyle. So it just sent me into a dark hole.
So you felt very isolated. I mean, those guys were still there. They were still on the end of the phone, I'm guessing, but you just weren't around it every day. You weren't in there. Yeah,
I think for me, playing rugby league gave me an escape, and it gave me a massive coping mechanism. I mean, things have gone up and down throughout my life. They've not been great, just like any other person. But my way of coping with it was playing rugby on a weekend. There could be a lot going on in my life, but when I played rugby, even if I played rubbish, getting bashed around a bit and getting tackled and making tackles on whatever happened in the game was my coping mechanism for my stresses of life, which is not different to anybody else's stresses. I'm not saying I've had it tougher or all like that, because I haven't. I've had it just normal, like normal people. But that was my way of dealing with life. And when you cut that out, I didn't really know where to turn.
Is there anything you could have done, looking back, to kind of prepare yourself for?
Yeah, there's loads I could have done. There's loads I could have. I should have had a proper strategy for exiting the game. And if that meant going back to study, if that meant having a real interest other than rugby, like setting myself up somewhere. Like I'm working in care at the moment. If I'd have looked into this earlier, 5 years earlier, I could have saved myself a lot of heartache. But even though I'm really, really in a good place now and really enjoying my job, still have a massive void that's probably won't be filled, maybe ever, from not being involved in rugby, and that won't ever go away. I don't think that would have ever changed, but I've learned how to deal with it now, which is a big difference.
Is there an element of it as well? I mean, there's clearly, what do I do next? What do I do with the rest of my life? But on the flip side of it, when you're coming out of something like professional sport, there's that buzz, there's that adrenaline that you need to be replacing. All that emotional up and down, the emotional roller coaster that you're on. That's going to play havoc with you when you just sat suddenly doing nothing, watching telly.
Yeah, I think it's just an inside battle, isn't it? I think it's like anything in life, it's an internal battle. I think for a large part of the life, I've been retired now since 2017. So I'd say for 2 or 3 years, I just didn't I didn't know who I was. I didn't know my identity. My only identity, I left school at 15, 16. I went straight to Bradford Bulls. I played my first team debut in 1998 at 16. And then from my adult life, all I've ever been is Leon Pryce, the rugby player. And that's all I've ever known how to be a rugby player and to be part of a group and have fun and play rugby. And my identity was that, and that's it alone. That's all I ever knew. That's all I knew how to act. is part of a group, trying to make people laugh, having fun, having banter, taking the mick all day out of people, having the mick ripped out of you all day. And all my personality was based around being a rugby player. And you take that away, I was just left with somebody that I didn't know. I mean, it's hard to not know who you are when you look in the mirror and you don't feel like you fit in anymore. There's no real place for you. You're not involved in the game. You've gone from all of a sudden being on TV every other week, playing games, doing stuff you enjoy. You feel like you're not a personality, but you've got a little bit of a profile, a little bit to nothing at all. It's a big wake up call. It's a big what's going on, and that takes a little bit of getting used to. Yeah, definitely.
That person you've just described brilliantly, the jokey, confident, at times cocky, certainly on the pitch. That bantery person. Was that the Leon Pryce, the rugby player? Was that the real Leon Pryce, or was that something you became when you became a professional sportsman? What I mean by that is what you were like before. Did you have to find yourself again, or rediscover what you were like before that person, if that makes sense?
Yeah. I think it's a really good question. Yeah, I think before I came into rugby, I was quite a bit softer than what I am now, like as a person. And then I think once you get scarred a little bit and you get hurt in the press and fans and things, you've got to find a way of protecting your emotions. And I think that was my persona, to protect me from the outside world. It's when you play sport, when you go on that field, I can't be the same person as I am now. I couldn't just get up here and just walk onto a rugby field, because mentally you've got to be so tough. You've got to take the knocks. You've got to take the setbacks. You've got to have 10,000 people slagging you off. You've got to read about people saying that you're rubbish and you're this and that. You can't just act normal. Like if I read that now, I'd be upset. But when you're playing rugby, you've got to tune yourself to not listen to fans, not listen to criticism. Take it, but take it on the chin and take it with a pinch of salt. You got to get, 1 week you play good, next week you play bad, 1 minute you're an hero, 1 minute you're not, you're rubbish, you're this. Like, you've got to find a way in every individual of protecting your sanity. And for me, when you go on that pitch as well, you've got to become a different person. You've got to be you've got to be tough, haven't you? You've got to be tough, otherwise you don't last, especially in good teams. So yeah, I'd say I'd had to probably undo a lot of the things that I built up to protect myself from being hurt as I finished, and let some of that go. Don't have to be that resilient anymore. I could be resilient, but in different ways.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm fascinated by this, and the reason I asked that question is because and you and I have spoken a lot about things that we don't necessarily need to discuss on this podcast now. But for me, it was, I was always a very shy kid, and then suddenly I found my voice when there was a live microphone in front of me. Like you finding this Leon Pryce character when you're walking out of the tunnel and getting people slagging you off. And for me, it's when the microphone went live, suddenly I was a different person. And that gave me my purpose, my identity. And then a few years ago, when that disappeared, I struggled really badly. So I get it.
Yeah.
But having been thinking all about it as I have, and the reason I asked you that question, that person on the radio wasn't the real me. That was just the role I kind of played. I was just Georgie Boy, the jokey guy on the radio. And that's why I'm wondering how that person, that kind of cocky, brilliant rugby league player with a bit of a strut and a niggly, and I hated you as a fan because I was from Leeds and you were from Bradford. I absolutely hated you. And then I've got to know you. We've talked about this, and I've got to know you afterwards, and you're one of the greatest, your greatest people you could wish to have around you. You're a fantastic person, and it's that perception, the character versus reputation.
And I think also as well, because of the way they play the game, sometimes it's stupid, really silly stuff that I tell my son not to do now. And I was 18, 19, full of testosterone, just crazy, just rampaging. And what was my point? Sometimes you've got like you're saying then, sometimes I struggle hoping that people didn't think that the person I was on the field, I was off the field, because that's not me. And I struggled with that quite a lot, because that persona is what I needed to or at the time, I needed to give me an edge to make me think that I was better than what I was, to give me the confidence to do what I did, to have a little bit of arrogance, a little bit of cockiness, a little bit of confidence. I needed that for me to survive and to believe that I was the best. And it was just a protection tool. I don't know. I had to go out there thinking that I was good, confident, cocky, whatever people want to call it. But I know that later in my career, once that went and I started doubting myself, I wasn't the same player at all. And I'm glad that I had that in my career, because it gave me the confidence to play rugby the way that I did. And wasn't always good, but I'd say I did all right.
Just going, I mean, that was a brilliant little chat. Just going back to that period immediately after you were playing, when you fell into a bit of a hole. How bad did it get?
Yeah, it went bad. It got pretty bad. I don't know how much. I'm a really proud person. I'm usually a really private person. I don't like to tell anybody about problems. I never speak to anybody at all. So everything that's probably started up for since I started playing was all bottled up really by the end of it. And then, my way of releasing it wasn't healthy at all. And it led me to a dark place here. But I don't know. I swear, I went to a dark place. I went to a really bad place, and I don't know. When it first all happened, I didn't mind talking about it, but now I just feel not embarrassed, but I kind of want to.
Yeah, is it triggering when you take yourself back to that place?
I don't like the way that I felt when it first happened. It was just like, this is what's happened, and you don't mind talking about it to people. But now on reflection, probably a little bit later, I don't know if my honest opinion, my honest truth is sometimes I feel as though if you talk about it too much, people are like, oh, you just want sympathy, or you're not the only person to have problems, and blah blah blah. And that plays in the back of my head quite a lot. So I try to be really positive.
But that's not it. I don't think that's it at all. I mean,
no, in my head, I'm just saying that.
Yeah, but you don't realise how many people you connect with by being vulnerable.
Yeah. I was really, really vulnerable, and I was drinking too much. I was sat at home, and when I'd go and play rugby, I went go and pick up a bottle of wine and go and sit at home and feel sorry for myself and drink myself into a stupor and fall asleep. I just wanted to sleep. Just wanted to go to sleep all the time. I didn't want to be awake. I wasn't bothered with what happened. I'd forget to go to meetings. I'd just stay at home and go to sleep and just not be happy. That's where I was at. I just wasn't happy with my life. I couldn't get over it, and I had everything going for me. I've got a lot going for me. I've got a beautiful family. I've got a wife. I was okay, financially okay, fine. I've got a lot going for me, but I just couldn't get past it. And then I went to Sporting Chance, got a little bit of help from Sporting Chance, which is Tony Adams' company. And it's a charity, not a company at all. And from there, received a lot of help. But even after that, it's been a long journey to get to where I am at the moment mentally. But that's just, like you said, it's an inside job, innit? I mean, I've had to really work at myself. And I think I've had to try and find some peace with rugby, with not being a rugby player anymore, and not being involved and not going to games. And it's a big part of my life. It's the only thing that I've ever been passionately, but unbelievably passionate about is rugby. And people can say, find something else to do. And I play a bit of golf, but it's not the same as doing something you absolutely love doing. Like I can sit and watch 3-4 games on a weekend. I can go to a game. I can sit and talk to anybody who knows about rugby. I can sit and talk rugby league all day and all long. And some people might think that's sad, but that's how I've been brought up. That's what I've always done. So to replace that, it's not easy, but I think I'm getting there now. I feel really good and really positive, and life's good.
How have you set about trying to find that peace with the fact that you can dip your toe into rugby like you are doing, but your focus is probably elsewhere now?
Yeah, I'm happy with a bit of commentary, a little bit of commentating. Well, even if it's just once a week, it keeps you involved in a game, gets you to watch a game.
You're quite good at it, by the way, as well.
Oh, thank you. Cheers. I'm trying. I'm just trying to learn. That keeps me involved, and I go watch my son play. I go play golf 2 or 3 times a week with my friends and my brother, and I've just found different outlets now. So just that little bit of going to the games, it just keeps me. And now William's playing, it's even better because I get to go to Super League games and watch him play, and it feels like I'm starting all over again, even though I'm not living my life through him. But when you sit there and watching your son playing in a Super League game, it's pretty special.
Yeah. I mean, I completely get you. What on Sporting Chance, that was the call I got as well when I fell into the hole I did, and a kind of sudden and very unexpected suicidal depression, and suddenly it was Colin Bland was on the other end of the phone, helping me out as well. So I've got a lot to thank them for as well. So I certainly hear where you're coming from with
I think George, like I say, I didn't know you very well probably until the start of this season. We both had some good chats, and we got to know each other a lot better over time, and I've had some good conversations private, which we don't need to go in detail on here. But I think it's an inside job. I think you'll know, as I know, is sometimes you can feel bad about yourself, and it's how you feel about yourself, and that's the same for me. How you really truly feel about yourself, and once you can get that right and understand that things happen in life, things go wrong, things happen, and you can get over them and really believe in yourself and stop holding things against yourself and believe that you're a good person and you can get past things. It's just an inside job, and I've come to realise that now. It's taken a long time to get there. I've got to know you really well, and you're a good person, and I like chatting to you, I like talking to you. But it's everything that everybody deals with is an inside job. It doesn't matter what anybody tells you. I can sit and tell you the best person in the world, but if you don't believe it, it don't count for naught, does it?
No, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. And my partner says to me a lot, the size of the thing in the outside world, it's no one cares. It's big. It's big in there.
No, it's humongous. It's massive. It's massive in there, but nobody cares. But you keep replaying the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And I've had to learn to get past that. I've made mistakes. I've been in court. I've had court cases. I had a court case that happened when I was 2002. I've held that against myself. I mean, I don't know, about 32, 33. Never got over making stupid mistakes and errors in my life that have cost me. But it happened 10 years ago, 12, no, it happened, 18 years ago, 2002. William wasn't even born. And I still rolling it against myself and still getting myself down. And I had to get over it. And it's not until you do that yourself that you can move forward. That's what I've learned myself.
But those two things, I mean, if you don't mind me asking, we won't go into the details, but the couple of court cases you had, as well as having to kind of deal with that, like you say, internally and move on and process it mentally. When we're talking about transition and career transition, is that kind of thing, has that been an obstacle, a problem, the fact that you've had a couple of court cases gone against you in the distant past?
Yeah, because if you want to work with children, you've got to do a DBS, and an enhanced DBS where they go through absolutely everything. And if you've got anything like that on there, then you can be presumed not liable or fit to work around children or in schools. I had a job lined up to work in a school, and everything were going hunky-dory, rosy. The head teacher were ringing me back, talking to me, and then next second they stopped talking, didn't hardly call me. And I kind of got the gist what were going on. They said, your DBS has come back and, sorry, there's not going to be a job for you. That were a job lined up. So it still has its repercussions 18 years later, which I don't want my kids to make the same mistakes I did.
How do you make sure that is, that kind of thing must be really, well, I know it's triggering because I still have obstacles like that. And, how do you make sure that you don't, mentally you don't go back to that place? Because when you're getting something like that happening to you, you're thinking, this isn't fair, this isn't right, because whatever you think of me, I'm not that person. And
you're not. I was angry at first, but I'm not that person. Like when I was 18. I was 21. I mean, I'm 13. I'm 39 years old. A completely different person. 100, completely different. So, yeah, it didn't make me want to go back there. I just know that. I mean, young, aggressive, out with friends. It was such a different person compared to what I am now. A long time ago. But the challenge now is to continue to make sure I don't make any more mistakes along the way. And I'm still can be a bit of an idiot, just like others can. I'm not I'm the kind of guy that can go 2-3 months and then I might come up with something stupid and do something crazy because I've just got, I don't know. I'm just me. It's just who I am. But I try my best to not make any more silly mistakes and errors, and try and lead my life in the right way and try and lead by example for my kids. That's all I can do. That's all I try and do.
You've mentioned a couple of times during this chat that you're kind of wary of how much you open up about when you've had struggles and stuff, because you don't want people to look like you're seeking sympathy or like you're the only one who has problems and stuff like that. And I actually rewatched before when I knew I was speaking to you for this. I rewatched the emotional interview you gave on Rugby M probably a year or so ago. And
yeah.
I mean, what struck me, mate, about that was obviously how you broke down when you were talking about how you fell out of the game, but even more so that you felt after that interview you had to put a statement out. That probably struck me even more. You had to make a statement to justify why you got emotional during that interview. I thought you don't have to explain why you're getting emotional.
I just the way I am. It's just probably my insecurities. I don't feel comfortable. I don't know what you're always going to be judged, aren't you? But mentally at the time, I don't think I was in a good place. Well, I wasn't in a good place
at the time. When you gave the interview?
Yeah, I was struggling really bad with life, with rugby, with life really. That's where we're at the time, and I think that was a reflection of in the end in the interview with the question that I could answer now, no problem. But at the time, it just got me. And afterwards, they were like, "Can we pull that out?" And I was like, "Yeah, put it out." And then when I got home, I'm thinking, "Oh God, what are people going to think?" And then you got demons going in your own head. And I wasn't in a great place at the time as it is. I want fantastic mentally. So yeah, it just for me, it probably made me feel better if I just said a little bit about it, so I didn't feel stupid, if anything.
But from what I saw, the reaction to that was pretty much 99, 100% positive. Yet you still in your head were thinking, I hope people don't think I was saying that rugby league owed me a living.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Yeah, yeah. But I can't help. You can't help.
But nobody that I saw said that.
Oh no, I'm not saying they did, but in my head at that time, that's where I was at, and I just wasn't in a good place. I wasn't mentally in a good place, and that's probably a reflection of what you saw when I've got upset over a question I could answer no problem now. But at the time, I was just struggling.
And you were discussing the opportunities or kind of lack of opportunities in the sport for the former players, a bit about support in transition and players, I guess, reaching the point where you were feeling a little bit that you were kind of sucked into a sport and then spat out of it. How do you feel now, kind of a year or so on from that conversation?
Yeah, it's a difficult conversation. I think I feel like I think the hourly gaps really helps keep people involved, and then not just myself, lots of people. I mean, there seems to be a lot more. I see a lot more of the ex-players involved. I still think, rugby league's a game where we can drop out. Players can drop out very easily. There's not much work about, is there? There's not many games we can cover. There's only so many spots for assistant coaching. It's not like football where there's a million jobs out there. So yeah, but I've spoken. I've been in touch with RFL. I've been in touch with Julie Measures. I've got things sorted. I'm working well. I do a couple of games a week. I've done a bit of radio work. So I feel like it is what it is. I've had to deal with. I'm happy with where I'm at with the game. I'm okay. I'm okay with it. It is what it is.
You dipped your toe I beg your pardon, into coaching with a spell at Workington. Why did that not work?
It was difficult. I just freshly come out of playing rugby, and I think I was still in between commuting from Yorkshire to Cumbria up to Workington, which is like a 3-hour drive. The Cumbrians, the local lads were all working shifts, so you could never have a good amount of number to training. I would say it worked out because the first season we had a fantastic season. We beat Bradford Bulls home and away. got to the playoff final, and we just lost narrowly. We just lost, to Swinton in the end. We lost to Bradford Bulls and then to Swinton because we had 2 chances. So that went well. The second season, I don't need to come on here and start bad-mouthing people or speaking ill of anyone. It just didn't work out, and that's fine. I'm fine with it. I was glad the opportunity came up, but I would have preferred to maybe be a full-time assistant somewhere, learning the trade before being a full-time coach. I would have rather done 2 or 3 years assistant and learned the trade that way. And I knew enough about the game, but I just went from playing straight into head coach. Probably not particularly ideal. As if I'd have said this is what I wanted to do, I would never go down that route. But the first season was brilliant. I loved it. It was a good experience, but probably not what I wanted to do long term. You had a shelf life in it. Did that for me.
You said earlier on in the chat that you knew you should probably have had something planned for the end of your rugby career, but you assumed because of the career you'd had, you might get into coaching or something like that. Was the complacency, was the naivety at all?
Both. And it's only me. It's only me who's to blame for that. There's nobody else to blame other than me for not having an exit strategy out of the game. You think you think this kind of star, and people want to talk to you, ring you up every week, interviews. Everyone wants to be a friend. You kind of assume that anywhere, everywhere you go, people know you. You think it's going to be a bit of a walking park. When you think not a walking park, but it can't be that hard, can it? Surely, and such a wrong attitude to have. And I would never make that mistake again. I would never let my kids. I would never let William make that mistake. And something that I'm already working on with him now, and making sure that whenever if he has 2 years, 1 year, 3, 10, whenever it does come to an end, he's not going to be in the same position that I put myself in.
Can I ask you about the kind of the physical nature of rugby league? And what I mean by that is the physical effects, that the impact it has on your body against the reward that you might get out of what's quite a short career. We all know that you can't retire for life off the back of a rugby league career because it's not Premier League football.
I wish you could.
Yeah. And even you detailed the few years you had in France, you were living a very good life. It didn't stop it being very hard for you when you finished. But the career of a rugby league player, you are basically running into brick walls, however many times a game for the length of your career. Your body and mind are shattered when you come to the end of a career that doesn't then set you up for life.
Yeah.
Is it worth it?
Oh yeah, God, yeah. Yeah, 100%. I've gone every day to have fun. I've had fun at training. Like if somebody said to me, I've got a really bad knee, I've got chronic arthritis in my knee, I've got no cartilage left, it's all worn away, I could probably do with a knee replacement. My shoulders are pretty not great. My fingers absolutely broken to bits. But if somebody said to me when I'm 15, right, Leon, you're going to have a really bad knee, you won't be able to run when you're 39, you will struggle walking upstairs, your shoulders are both going to be shattered. Would you take that if you could have the career that I had? I'd take it 10 times out of 10, every single time, no problem. It's what I've lived my dream. That's all I've ever wanted to do is play rugby. That's all I've ever wanted to do. I've reached the pinnacle of what I dreamt of doing since I was 10, 11. Played at Wembley, played at Old Trafford, scoring tries in grand finals, playing for Great Britain, beating Australia, touring Australia, going to New Zealand, playing in America. Come on, man. For a rugby league nerd, geek, it's like it's dream come true.
But it also left you in a deep, dark, desperate well when you finished playing, not knowing if you wanted to live anymore and drinking too much. So
yeah, but that's something that I had to deal with myself and get myself right. Just like I had to do, pre-seasons or ups and downs. It's just part of life, isn't it? That's what I personally got to go through and find my way to where I am now. Everybody's journey is different. I could only speak my truth. But if somebody said to me, you're going to go through a couple of hard years after playing rugby and, be a little bit down, but you're going to have the career, the life experiences, and get to be, pretty much financially stable and secure. I'm from Bradford. I'm from a little 2-3 bedroom terraced house in Bradford. I've come from nothing. My family don't have any money. We've not come from money. Everything we've got, we've had to work for. Don't come from from anything. You know, I'm giving my family, my kids, something that I never had. Why? What? That's only good for me. I know I've had to go through a little bit after. That's just life. I can deal with that. Just everybody, lots of people go through struggles. I've just struggled at the end of my career. It's taken me 3 or 4 years to get to a place now where I can say I'm okay with myself. I'm okay, but I'll never not wanted to do what I've done rugby wise. I've lived the dream.
How do people kind of find you now? Like, what I mean by that is rugby fans, when they meet you, now that you've been a few years out of the game, how do they greet you? Because you wound a lot of people up, but I'm guessing you get quite a positive reaction now. I'm thinking back to the first time I worked with you, and my dad texted me and said, he sounds really nice, Leon, for a thug. Remember I told you that?
Yeah. No, to be honest with you, people, when I go to grounds and watch games and see fans, people are like really nice to me, which is always quite surprising for me, because I always expect to get a little bit of crap. But yeah, I find people are good. People are good. It is what it is, George. I'm good. It's good. Yeah, people are nice. I get good responses when I go. It's nice. I try and hide myself away a little bit. I don't go out much where I live. I just try and keep myself to myself. But when I go to a game, fans are generally, even Leeds fans are nice to me, George. Even Leeds fans are all right with me.
Well, you're talking to one of them here who's nice to you for a start.
Yeah, fans. I went to watch William play against Wigan last week. I signed Wigan stand. We played for Saints for 6 years. I didn't get one bit of bother, one bit not bad, and nothing nasty. Everybody was sound. Like, Leon, you're doing your all right house things. Sound, well, no problem. It's good. You get older and wiser and move on, don't you? It's gone now. The playing days are gone. That that kind of rivalry, whatever you want to call it, is gone now. It's done. Finished.
It's been a brilliant chat. You mentioned you were working in care now. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what you get out of it.
Yeah, I just work in a residential care home, looking after children that are obviously find themselves, unfortunate to find themselves needing help, and it's really, really rewarding, and looking after people that need help. It's quite flexible. I work with Ryan Bailey as well. Ryan Bailey, I work with him alongside him. There was obviously the next Rhino, who's doing really well. There's lots of ex-rugby players that work in that line of work. I think there's lots of transferable skills that can help people. So it's a real hands-on job, but really rewarding. And I'm enjoying it. I enjoy that. I enjoy doing my bits of commentary. And enjoying watching my son play and seeing my kids grow up. So life's good. If I'm honest with you, George, I'm enjoying where I'm at the moment. It's been a difficult road to get here, but I'm enjoying where I'm at.
What are, if you don't mind me asking, what do you think some of those transferable skills are from being a professional rugby player to working and wanting to work in care, as I know quite a few of you do?
Yeah, so I'd say, like, obviously discipline. You've got to be punctual. You've got to be on time. You've got to listen to orders. You've got to work as a team, work as a group. You've got to listen to commands from your manager. Everything that you've got from playing, being tough, being resilient, listening, working hard, drive, having high standards, all them things you can show into a young person, and you can set them high standards and give them something to aim and achieve to do in their lives. Showing that education is important, showing what they can achieve outside of education, trying to get them involved in activities, take them to rugby games. There's lots of things and lots of avenues that you can show them the right way forward. And
there's no substitute for lived experience, which both you and Ryan Bailey have had a lot of.
Yes. Yeah, advice, things where not to go wrong, things that have gone wrong, guidance to making sure that they don't, they understand the consequences of actions, and that there's so many things. Honestly, there's a lot of rugby players that are involved in this line of work, and it's nice to see, and they all do well as well. They're all doing really well. Sean Luntz does it; he's involved in it. There's lots of lads doing it, and they're doing really well.
It seems to me, and you've mentioned it a few times in relation to your son Will, that a big motivation, a big drive for you now is to ensure other people benefit from mistakes you've made, and get people on the right path if you can. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Yeah, I know what I've been through mentally through making the mistakes that I did, all my own fault, and I always don't ever blame anybody else. But if I can help William learn from them and help him go through his career and have someone to turn and ask for advice, and I can put him on the right path and not, we all make mistakes. He's going to make mistakes. Things are going to go wrong, but if I can try and minimise them as much as possible, then that's all I want to do.
I always like to end these chats by asking what your outlook on life is now for the second chapter, if you like, for the second part of your life as Leon Pryce. Now Leon Pryce, the rugby player, has waved goodbye. What would you sum up that to be? What's your outlook on life?
I'd just like to try and continue to be happy, to try and stay a little bit involved in game, doing some games with people like yourself. And I'm good. I'm happy. I want to see my kids grow up. I want to watch my kids enjoy themselves and be healthy and be happy and enjoy my family life. And I'll lead a really simple life, play a little bit of golf, work hard, look after my kids, watch them grow up and enjoy my family life. If I can do that, I'm happy. That keeps me happy. Honestly, it's a really simple life.
I've really enjoyed this chat. I appreciate you giving up your time and coming on, and for your honesty as well.
George.
Thank you.
No, you're a top man, George, and I really appreciate it. And we enjoy working alongside you. It's really, really fun. You're a good man.
Leon Pryce, thank you very much. Take good care, and we will see you next time.
Cheers, George.